have never desired your good opinion.
People fear what they do not understand.
I have a headache, a badge, and a gun.
Power is yours.
Behave.
I was just trying to start a conversation.
And share the wonders I've seen.
Hi, and welcome back to The Wonders I've Seen, where there's no such thing as weird or normal, there's just different. I'm your host, Tanagra. Today we'll be discussing Coraline. I'm joined by our return guest, Ariel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course. So do you have a liquid nourishment for today?
I don't, but I have food.
All right.
Appropriate food for tonight.
Alright, what do you have?
I'm having Halloween brownies.
Excellent choice. I appreciate you for bringing those along. I had milk earlier, but right now I'm just on water, staying hydrated. Alright, so Coraline. We're discussing this as the first film in our Halloween horror 6-month anniversary of the Wonders I've Seen podcast celebration.
Extravaganza,
exactly. So we had our first viewing tonight, and let's talk about it. This is one of your favorites, right?
It's one of my favorite movies. Oh, favorite Halloween movies, maybe. Or, yeah.
Yes. Our listening public should know that Ariel loves Halloween films. She made me watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's a horror film. Nothing real sweet about it. It's creepy. Just like Coraline.
Well, it's from the same director.
I know you love like the creepy cute shit.
Oh, yes, I grew up on...
But you're not creepy cute.
No, but you don't have to be like the movie you watch.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's very...
I grew up with Tim Burton's movies, and I know everybody attributes Nightmare Before Christmas to Tim Burton's because it's his story and his visuals, but the director, Henry Selick, is the same one who made Coraline. I love...
Definitely shows.
Yeah, and as an adult now, I love Neil Gaiman, the writer, and I feel like he's a little bit of this generation's Tim Burton.
I think he's better, but
this is all connected.
No, that's fair. I think Gaiman is better than Burton, but
I agree.
I think that he has more wider range and like his versatility. But like I'm not taking anything away from Burton, just more of a Gaiman fan than a Burton fan. So but I definitely see what you're saying, like the inspiration, that artistic sort of freedom and individuality. Yeah, I definitely see it.
There's a common way of making children's stories. Yeah, in a very original, dark, interesting way that also can appeal to adults. There's also that element of we're all a little bit weird. Everybody, and I also feel it's a little bit of we're all a little bit. We also have some darkness and some selfishness in us too, though. Yes, or outsiders. Maybe not weird. That was mostly Burton's style.
Yeah, weird.
Gaiman
you can't
is
see
more
my
about
air quotes.
outsiders, I would say.
Yeah. Well, so you say that, and I have seen that in most of his works, but I don't feel that I see that in Coraline.
Well, I agree.
And I don't know if maybe it's because, like, it's not necessarily his voice coming through, right? There's a lot of strong personalities and influences on Coraline, right? And I don't feel that Coraline's about outsiders. I feel like it's a lesson that, like, you should appreciate the life that you have because anything else out there might be worse. And I think that is I think the way that that lesson is taught in Coraline is very interesting. Like, you talked about watching it, like, the films appealing to children and adults. And so the last time I watched Coraline, I was significantly younger than I am now. And I had a very different way of looking at it. I didn't really catch all the subtleties with her outlook on the world or with her relationship with her mother. I think I thought she was... like, she fantasized and she escapes into the other mother's world, but I thought the other mother was just purely evil and that Coraline was maybe just selfish. But I gotta say, I actually don't think that now. Maybe it's because I'm getting to that age where, like, I'm thinking about being a mother myself, but like I don't feel that her parents did give her enough attention. Like, don't get me wrong, in the other world, she demanded way too much attention. I know, I see you wanting to say something. I think it was extremes. Like, she gets no attention in one world, and then in the other world, she's just like, well, everybody should give me everything. And I'm like, there's a middle ground. And I don't think that's like really achieved.
Let me back up, because I talked about being outsiders, and I think it's either outsiders or loneliness. And I think with Coraline, that's what it's about. That she starts the story as a lonely child.
Yeah.
Not in general, just in that moment in her life, because her parents moved. She just lost her friends. She doesn't know this new place. She doesn't know anyone. So this is really like in that moment in her life. She feels lonely, and her parents are busy, and her parents are probably always the same, but it's the first time she's feeling like they're not giving her enough attention, because for once, she just doesn't know this place, and she doesn't know anyone, and she's feeling lost. So yeah, whether it's not that she's right or wrong about it, it's just how she feels. Like, it's
right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with how she feels, because I feel like the movie, though, cast it as like, oh, she's this child who's going off and she's going to go into this other world and she's going to keep being selfish and greedy. Like, there's this sort of dichotomy that's presented, right? Either like she's a child who's playing and entertaining herself, or she's a child who's getting all the attention of everybody around her. Like, there's no middle ground, I really feel. So, like, I don't think... I feel like it needs a bit more gray, I guess. Because I don't feel like Coraline has a lot of gray. I don't. Sorry, when I say Coraline, I'm not talking about Coraline the film. I'm talking about Coraline the character. I don't feel like they gave her a lot of gray. Like, I think the parents, they try to, right? Because they show them working hard. And, like, as an adult, I'm watching it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're at a secondhand store shopping for your daughter's new uniforms, right? Like, you notice that, like, oh, yeah, she's not buying the gloves because they couldn't afford it until after they sold their new manuscript that they're both working on. So, like, everything, like, you see that as an adult watching it.
But you said it yourself, like, the first time you watched it, you saw it differently. Now you're rewatching, you're seeing it from a different point of view.
But that's these are the things
because of your life or your age.
Saying, yeah.
That's what, to me, that's what makes a movie great. It's when you can rewatch it year later and see a different layer or a different point of view from different characters.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying I think it's a fault, though, that, like, there isn't more gray. Like, I think it's I don't necessarily agree with the visuals and that with the lesson that it's trying to teach. Because for me, the lesson that came out, if you're a child watching it, is appreciate what you have. Because if not, like, it's not like things will go bad, but like somebody's going to try and kill you. That's like, right. And I don't mind darkness in children's stories. Excuse me. I don't think that's an issue. I just think that it shows, like, I think the assumption in the story is that every child, if they're feeling lonely, if they don't have a good friend, it'll work out, right? They'll get a friend, or their parents eventually will find the time to pay attention to them, or like eventually things will get better and the finances will get stable. Like I feel like that's
how I see it, but
no, I know that's not how you're, but that's what I'm telling you. Like, and I want to hear, like, I can see you shaking your head that you don't agree, but I think for me that's like it's too extreme. I think that there should be more gray in her life.
The thing is, okay, so I've read the book, and I don't think you have.
No, I've strictly watched the film.
First, it's a very small book, and the movie expanded, especially on the side characters. And I know it has no influence, but it really started as tiny stories he was telling his kids, and then he tried to mash it up and made it up Coraline. Gaiman is not really... I know we talked about the kind of lesson you can get out of it, because I think anybody can get a lesson, or from any story. Any story can get a lesson, even though it's not intended.
I don't know.
You can interpret the way you want and get one, but Gaiman doesn't actually give you a direct one. Wait.
Wait.
He's kind of leading you to different options.
Right, but giving you different options doesn't mean he's not giving you one. He's just giving you more than one.
But he's not imposing his vision. Like, your conclusion's not necessarily the one I would get. A child could understand the movie as just like, okay, there are people who are just going to exploit you when you're weak and lonely. That's it. It could be that.
I don't think that's obvious at all.
Be brave and just recognize when something's dangerous. It could be just that.
See, that's not what I see. Of course,
it's your
I would
interpretation.
think that would work if it wasn't for the fact that, like, the world that gives her everything that she wants then becomes the world that's evil and trying to kill her.
It's not a world. It's just one character. Other mother is this world.
But no. But I'm breaking it down to the most basic. I'm not looking at it on I'm putting it very basic. The world that she has, where she doesn't get what she wants,
reality
is boring and dull. Is boring and dull, right? Mm-hmm. But the world that she creates, where she gets everything she wants, ultimately tries to kill her. And I just think that that's like, okay, you need a middle ground here. Like, that little intestines that you go between both worlds, it needs to have a little bit of, like, the dullness and the loving of a true parent, right, who doesn't give you everything you want, but it also needs a little bit of the color and the life of the other one.
It exists in the end.
Right.
But it's her,
right.
Okay, so
remember,
it's her point of view. So that word,
but I don't
reality,
think it is her. What do you mean by that? You said that while we were watching it. What do you mean by her point of view?
The story is always from the point of view of a character.
Right.
The way it's filmed, the way it's shown. So when you feel like reality is gray and dull, this is just how she feels.
But the world is gray and dull. Literally,
no,
it's like that.
That's how she sees it.
Even at the end, it's gray and dull. Even when they're planting the flowers, it's gray and dull.
To me, it's not. It's lively. It's way more lively. It's realistic, but still lively. They're getting flowers and more colors.
But they only have color because they brought the flowers in. Other than that, it's gray and dull. Like in the beginning when she's out and she's playing in the woods. Like, it's gray and dull in the woods. Not because that's what she sees, but because that's where she is. They moved to the middle of nowhere, right? Like, that's what her parents do. They write random
Yeah, but to me it's very
books.
Exaggerated with the constant rain. And even in the parents' outfits and all that. It's just... No, to me the ending is not that dull, but I guess it's...
I don't think the ending is dull because of the color being brought in, right? Because she invites the other people into their lives. But I don't think that's necessarily the world wasn't dull before. I think it's just not as dull. Like, the visuals of it. So I don't think it's just her outlook. I think she just lives in a dull world, which is why the contrast of the bright, sparkly one is so different. And it's so tempting to her.
It's also her interpretation.
I don't think it's her interpretation, right? Because it's other mother being like, oh, your other world is drab, so, like, this one's not, you know? I don't know. So another character, which I thought was interesting, is that you asked about the character with the crooked neck, and whether he was a person of color. I never saw him as that until the very end when he brought his grandmother in and Coraline wants to meet her. And I thought it was sort of problematic, though, that every other character is shown as being fine and physically okay except for YB if he's supposed to be a person of color. I thought that was an interesting choice. There's also a lot of unnecessary bosom in the movie.
I don't know. To me, there are characters of every shape and form, and to me, Selig just like to play with different shapes, either upper part or lower part, in every character. And that's it. It was just like he was just trying not to have characters who were slender. Mr. Bobbins is just like a giant ball with limbs.
Mr. Bobbins is the one
upper neighbor, the one who worked in a circus.
Yeah, okay.
And the two ladies who are lower neighbors, they just have contrasting bodies, and everything is exaggerated.
Yeah, I
in
would
the
agree
forms.
with that. I definitely agree with that. I guess, yeah, I didn't mind the exaggerated forms, although I did think that there were a lot of, like, overly large chest, which I guess
They were two.
Well, yeah, I guess when, like, the two women that you see most of the time are, like, Coraline and Coraline's mother, right? And then the other women are more exaggerant. I guess it stands out to me. Also because, to be fair, one of them you see and she's just wearing pasties. So, also that. But yeah, I guess the reason what's his name? YB. I guess the reason why YB stood out to me was because I didn't notice him as a person of color at all. And I don't know, where did you get that from?
Honestly, I never noticed before. And then I was like keeping an eye. I was like, is everybody white in this movie? Like, for once, I was trying to be aware of that.
Everybody's being white.
And when we're seeing the dead kids, I was wondering, and honestly, I was wondering one of the little girls whether it was a girl of color, just because of the way, even though we don't really get colors on those ghosts, just because of the way her hair is. And it's not really like white hair, especially for a kid from the 50s, or it's like kids from decades ago. So I was wondering, I was like, is that little girl supposed to be a girl of color? And she's we know from the story that it's YB's grand aunt.
Yeah, it's his grandmother's sister, right?
And so I paid attention to YB's hair, and I was like, okay, he seems to have the same type of hair, so it doesn't mean he's not a white boy.
Interesting.
But yeah, he's pretty fair, so it's not exactly in your face.
Like, it's been a couple of years since I've watched this film, and I do remember everybody being white. I mean, it's one of the things with a lot of fantastical works, or even like, right, whether you're talking about horror, whether you're talking about children's entertainment, that usually the characters are white. So I did not notice that at all.
And I think his voice actor is a white kid.
Yeah.
So usually it sort of influences, like, if the character is of color, they usually cast the person who matches the ethnicity. But
I mean, that's interesting. Well, I don't know if he was supposed to. Well, so you say that, but then I'm not sure if he was supposed to read as black.
This is why I didn't say black. I honestly have no idea. When I'm saying of color, he could be Latino. I have no idea.
Right. He didn't. Yeah, because I was like, you don't read as black. You don't. Right. I was like, is that what he's supposed to be reading as? Because then the grandmother comes in and she's like purposely brown. Whatever type of brown, she's purposely brown, right? So you know that she's not white. But I also thought it was like, once again, also problematic that throughout the entire film she's presented as sort of like nagging on him, which of course, like, for a kid, her needing help, like, would be nagging for him. But then also that, like, he's so, like, the physical imperfection sort of bothers me if he's supposed to be like the character of color, if that makes sense. Because, like, all the other people whose bodies are very exaggerated, it's sort of done so in like a humorous way. And I don't really, and then maybe that's why it bothers me more and why I don't care for it. Like, it's not something that makes me think it's a bad movie. It's just more like, meh, sort of thing to it.
Yeah, I understand now that, he's a character of color. It's bothersome. And I will not try to find any excuse. I never thought, before somebody mentioned during the chat on Rabbit that he was crooked, I never thought about that. To me, it's just like the way his body was more of not a shy kid, but like that weird kid who's a little bit awkward.
Right, but
I was not reading it as crooked before. Like, he actually had a problem with his neck. It was more like a lot of kids don't stand up straight up, and he is kind of cool in the way he dresses, and he has this sort of bike, but at the same time Coraline sees him as a weirdo,
right? And
I feel like his body position was a way to read him that way, as he's cool and he's also a little bit weird and a little bit awkward.
Right. No, I definitely think I definitely got that reading as well. But yeah, the crookedness that somebody mentioned in the Rabbit chat definitely like brought it to the forefront of my mind. Because I remember being like, oh, maybe this is just supposed to be indicative of how, as you're saying, he's an awkward kid, and when he's around, like particularly when he's around Coraline, because obviously like they're sort of suggesting that like he likes her, right? And then
in a romantic way,
I think so.
Yeah,
not like overtly, just that like he likes her, not necessarily romantic, but not necessarily
he
like
really wants
platonic
to make a
either,
friend.
right? He just likes her, yeah. So I'm saying romantic, platonic, whichever one, however, like he likes her. And I thought it was just like him being shy around her, but then even after they've established a friendship, he still doesn't stand up straight. And then I was like, okay, everything, like, right, we're saying fine, like she says her world is dull, now she's gonna plant tulips in it, and it's like the last scene, right? Oh, okay, she wants more color in her life, so now she's gonna serve everybody lemonade and bright cups and with straws. Like, okay, like she's doing all these things, and there's all these visual cues that things are better, and then he's still like this crooked kid.
Yeah, well, that's where. Yeah, to me, a child doesn't, just because things are better doesn't mean a child is gonna stand up straight right away.
But that's what I'm saying. That for me is like it's
still pretty new. Like YB is like her, a lonely kid, although he's been lonely way longer than her. He's still not a social kid, especially with people his own age, especially if he's spending so much time with his grandma and the weird neighbors who are much older.
Yeah, they're all significantly older.
So he's still not used to having friends his own age.
Yeah, I guess maybe if he, like I said, if he wasn't supposed to be a person of color, I probably wouldn't care. But like the physical imperfection that he shows, that the one other young character who is Coraline and then Coraline's family that they don't have, right? So that contrast is jarring anyway, that Coraline's family is this like sort of epicenter of perfection, and then like all the weird neighbors center around them. Like, and then you add on to the fact that he's supposed to be like the only other person of color, and it's just sort of like, okay.
I don't know if you counted, but Coraline's mother has her neck in a brace the entire time, so do you count this as a physical imperfection in the story? No, because when the brace is something that she removes, right? So it's like, oh, she's like, she probably, I took the brace as being like she hurt herself because she was constantly writing and like leaning over. Like she's hurting her neck from her work because she takes it off. She's not constantly like leaning over crooked, or her neck isn't constantly like overextended or anything like that. Yeah. Once again, not something that makes me not want to watch the movie, but just more a statement of like the standards that we're used to and the idea of like the perfect family, and the movie sort of perpetuates it. Like, in all honesty, most animated child films for children do. Yeah. Yeah, it's bothersome that there is no character of color, which was the impression we had, and then you realize, oh, they didn't make an effort, but there's still a tiny bit that's still
right,
annoying. So
and it's right. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel it just falls into that default category of like, oh, every other film for children is using white perfection as a default, which like it's America, outside America too, but we're gonna talk about the States. It's the States. But anyway, ultimately, I enjoyed it. I'm happy that we watched it.
Glad. Just want to make a tiny shout out because I didn't do it during the chat, but
of course,
I love Terry Hatcher's work in that movie. I think she's a great voice actress, and I wish she would do it more. I think she's great as the mother.
Oh, that is who that is.
It's Terry Hatcher. Yes.
I didn't realize that.
It's a Lois Lane.
I did not realize. Yeah, she was great. Yeah. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
She definitely should do more voice acting. No, I did not realize that was her.
I love how she has a broken voice a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's great. Mother is she's a sad character. I think she's a very sad character.
Mother and other mother, because it's a
mother and other mother. I think like Mother's not as sad though, because her trials are temporary, but other mother is habitually alone. You know. So it's a sad character. Granted, she's evil and she should be. Yeah. Exactly. But she's still habitually alone. Like, I'm not saying like
I'm defending abusers.
Right. I'm not saying I'm looking for like other mother, but right. Yeah. But no, anyway, awesome shout out. Well, I'm happy that you could join me for our very first film in our Halloween horror 6-month anniversary extravaganza on Rabbit. I think I covered everything. Since we're going to be doing other films from now until October 31st, I hope you will join us for some of those.
I will do my best to be there.
Excellent.
I'm guessing you have a very interesting list of movies in mind.
We do. Yeah. Sort of sitting down and going through the schedule, I thought it needed a little bit more color, so we're going to mix things up around a little bit, and then we'll be releasing that list via all the platforms. And definitely, obviously, talking about it on Twitter, our go-to place for interactions. So, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I'm really happy it's been 6 months, and I hope you got more surprises for us.
We will, and we'll be talking about them. Maybe release a little bit something about it. You know, we have to celebrate our 6-month anniversary.
It's such a tease.
I know. Just keep listening out, you know. Keep checking back in. So, that's all the wonders that I have to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed our discussion of Coraline. Thank you again to Ariel. I appreciate you coming back to discuss this. Hope to see you on the Rabbit Chats, as well as have you back as a guest again.
Yes.
And for those of you listening, to continue the discussion, whether it's about Coraline, Halloween, joining us for Rabbit, or even if you want to suggest something for us to watch on our new segment for Thursday Night Wonders, you can find me on Twitter at Tanagra, GGNOC. And Ariel, are you going to plug your location, or are you going to stay mysterious?
I'm going to stay mysterious.
All right, you lean into that. For all you Android users, you can find us on Anchor and RadioPublic. And for all you iThings users, you can listen in on iTunes and Overcast. You can also listen to us while watching an awesome slideshow on YouTube. So don't forget, join us at 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights for our Thursday Night Wonders on Rabbit. We will be on there chatting. And we'll be watching a different film from now through Halloween. Please, if you have any suggestions, I'm open to them. Just send them to me on Twitter. So leave us a message, suggest a movie, suggest a show. Thanks for joining. Make choices, and don't fall down.